Hey there! Today I wanted to show you how to design a menu in the Godot game engine. So I think that almost all game developers hate designing UI, which is, the same. I hate it too, but still, it's a unfortunately it's a pretty necessary element to all of our games. So let's just jump into it. I have this project set up here. All I have is I have a 2D game scene with the icon in the middle. There is no code, no scripts or anything like that. If I just run this as is, nothing will happen. This is just a game scene to show us that there is a separate scene that we can switch to later. Okay, so let's go ahead, create our new scene, create a user interface root node, and let's just call it menu or something like that, and save it as menu.tscn. Alright, so of course, when designing a menu, we want everything to be neatly centered, and that's why we use different containers in Godot. So first off, we are going to add a margin container, and then we are going to set that to be in the middle, and we are going to add under that some VBox containers as its child, two of them exactly. And just make one VBox container the parent of the other one. Okay, so under the bottommost VBox container, we're going to add our buttons. So just add a couple of buttons. We'll just add 3. And oh, sorry. There we go. And we can just type here in the text property what we want this button to do. So I'll just call this play. I'll call the second one options, and the third one quit or something like that. Okay, these are pretty small. We'll change that later, but first let's focus on designing the menu. And now under this VBox container, so the parent of the previous VBox container, we are going to add the simple label. This label is going to serve as our title and put it above the previous VBox container, because this is going to be our title. So title, yeah. Alright, now a couple of things here. I mean, this, we could go ahead and code this. Like, if I launch the scene, you can see that these buttons are clickable and everything. Of course, they don't work yet because we haven't written a script, but it would work. But, you know, it's not really aesthetic. It looks ugly, so let's go ahead and change that. First off, we are going to center our title. We are going to change here in the inspector tab the horizontal alignment to be center, so much better. And now let's work on spacing. So as you can see, these these buttons are pretty close to each other. We don't really want that. We want them to be separated, especially if it's a bigger screen. But most important of all, we want the title to be above the buttons. So the way we are going to do that is, if we click on these containers and go down here to theme overrides and then to constants, we have a little thing here called separation, and if we tick that, you can see it moved that closer, but we can give it a value or something like 30, or I'll go a bit more, like 60. There we go. And in this VBox container, which contains all of our buttons, we can do the same thing, separate them, but I'll just give this a smaller value, like I don't know, not 20, maybe 10. Yeah, that looks nice. And the reason I created two separate VBox containers is exactly because of this, because I want the title, I want the separation to between the title and the buttons to be more than between the buttons themselves, because if these buttons and the title itself would be under the same container, then every separation between the separations between every element would be the same. So that's why they did the way I did. Okay, now, and just a final touch on the UI side of things. I found the buttons and the text itself to be a bit bigger. The text is fairly easy. Just go again to theme overrides, font sizes, tick the font size, and then just set it to a value you like. Let's say, I don't know, 60. That looks good. Okay, and with the buttons, again, theme overrides, same as before. Take the font size and then give it a value like 40. And you can do this with all other buttons. Alright, there we go. Now, let's get into the coding, which shouldn't be too difficult. Let's just create a script for our root node here. Menu.gd works just fine. And of course, the main thing we are going to be doing is going to these buttons. I prefer to rename them to what they do because it's much easier to work that way. What we are going to do is just go here to node, this node tab, and double click on the pressed signal, and then connect it to our the root node's script. So there we go, and we have an onPlay pressed function, and this is just really simple. If we press play, we of course want to switch to the game scene. So what we are going to do is just type get3 dot change scene to file, and then game.tscn. Okay, for the options we are going to do the same, but I don't have an options scene. Well, let me just create one real quick. Let's add a sprite, of course our icon, and let's just move it to a different position, like right here to the corner. There we go. This is going to be our options scene. There we go. Okay, and now if I press options, I will do the same thing as before. So get3 dot change scene to file, and then options.tscn, and finally the quit button, which is going to be just as easy as the rest of them. Connect the signal and get3 dot quit, and that's basically it. If I launch the game right now, it'll ask me to select a main scene, and it's usually the best if the main scene is the menu itself, because the main scene is obviously the scene that is going to pop up when you launch the game. So let's just select the current scene. And as you can see, we now have a menu. If I click play, it opened our game scene, as you can see. I don't have a method for quitting to the menu, so I'll just close the game and test the buttons that way. If we click on options, as you can see, it's the options scene. And then, of course, if I just click quit, it quits the game. So that was the tutorial. It was a bit shorter one, but I think that designing menus this way is very simple and just very intuitive with these containers and all. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe, and consider supporting me on my Patreon. It really helps a ton. Goodbye and take care.